Welcome back to Alpacamade. It's great to see you again. Good morning, good morning. It is May 18th, 2020. It's Monday morning, and the sky outside was a really pretty baby pink and baby blue this morning, and I had trouble getting a shot of it because there were street lamps that were still on and in the way. Today's episode is Fire Cider. Because this is a folk preparation, the ingredients can change from year to year depending on when you make it and what's growing around you. The standard base ingredients are apple cider vinegar, garlic, onion, ginger, horseradish, and hot peppers. But there are plenty of other herbs that can be thrown in for an added kick. This year there were lots of spicy jalapenos and vibrant rosemary in the garden, so we use those along with some organic turmeric powder and fresh lemon peel. And that quote is from Mountain Rose Herbs. They are not sponsoring us. It's based on Rosemary Gladstone's original recipe. She's not sponsoring me either. So let's get started. Now, if you remember from a couple of weeks ago when I started the kombucha, I had a little over a quart left in the big jar from last year, and a little bit of Jun from when I started my Jun. And you can see they've sat in the cupboard and they've both grown brand new fresh scobies. So they're still very much alive. So what we have here in front is, well, let's start from what you almost can't see. Right back here I have some of the Jun, the leftover Jun, as well as this, which is also leftover Jun, and you can see it's already forming a SCOBY even though there's a solid top on it, which kind of surprised me. So I have leftover Jun, leftover kombucha. The SCOBY on this is already sunk to the bottom from 2 weeks ago. Again, covered, not fed, but it's growing anyway. So let's start our fire cider, and we're going to start with onions. Lots of onions. And all I did was peel these and cut them into sixths, I think. Just enough to be able to get them in the jar. You don't have to be very fussy about this. Next I have garlic cloves, and these are really old. You know, supposedly these are fresh. This is fresh garlic. I hope the camera is focusing on that, but you can see it's already sprouting. This is not fresh garlic. So if you go to the store and you see old, very thick-skinned garlic, it's from last year, but we're going to make use of it anyway. So in it goes. And all I did was cut off the root end. I smashed some of them to get the peel off, but for most of them I didn't do much more than that. So our garlic, in here I have, let's see if you can see it. This right here is cinnamon, a tablespoon of cinnamon, a tablespoon of ginger, just a scant half teaspoon of real salt, and I think maybe 8 cloves, whole cloves. So let's dump all that in. There we go. Next, I have some oregano, about a teaspoon. We're making half a gallon here, so this is a teaspoon. And oregano oil, which is what I would use if I had it, has some really good antibacterial and antimicrobial properties, as do all these things. Also, some peppercorns. I don't know, 20 of them or so. Anything that you use for, what do I want to say, not medicinal purposes, but for health purposes, if you add pepper to it, the element in pepper called pepperine, it will enhance the product
and the properties of everything else you put in there. It's just like a Kickstarter or something. Off camera, when I was on camera, you saw me put in powdered ginger because that's what I have. And also, I forgot, we're going to put in a tablespoon of turmeric. And this tablespoon of turmeric is really why I put the pepper in. That's a scant tablespoon, so we're going to beef it up just a little bit. Turmeric, if you don't know, is a natural yellow colorant, and it will stain everything. So be careful if you spill it. Just be careful, because getting it wet will definitely stain out everything. This is 2 ounces of water. Well, it's 1.5 ounces of water, to which I've added a 1/2 ounce of molasses, unsulfured molasses. You're going to hear me say unsulfured molasses for the rest of, this channel's lifetime. And I just loosened up the molasses with warm water. Now, we're going to take our Jun. Let's do it this way. We're going to take what was left of our previous kombucha or Jun, and I just dropped a culture in there. There's already a culture growing in there, so I'm going to strain the rest of this. I've done that previously. I'm going to strain this. I'm not going to bother fishing out the culture that, again, sitting on the counter. I'm not going to bother to fish out the culture. And that darker stuff, that's all yeast growing. That's yeast that has grown in the culture. Now, the reason why I wanted to strain that out is because I want to use this big measuring cup to get out the culture on this one as well. And you can see on this one, it's got the yeast mixture has risen from the bottom up to feed this SCOBY, this white disc looking thing. It's actually risen up and attached it. So I'm going to strain the SCOBY out, and that yeast culture will come out as well. And I went backwards from what I actually wanted to do. I'm going to tip this back in, because I'll probably use that SCOBY. No reason to waste it. Since it decided to grow, let it grow. All right. Strain this in. And the only reason I'm straining it in is because there is a lot of yeast. So the free-floating yeast will go in there, and the colonized yeast will be caught out. All right. There we go. Gonna dump this last bit in here. Now this is the from last year. This is last year's, and you can't, well, yeah, you can see it. There's a SCOBY growing down there as well, a brand new fresh SCOBY. So do not throw, if you think you've made a mistake, do not throw your kombucha SCOBYs out with the bathwater, so to speak. It'll be fine. All right, there we go. I'm going to leave a little extra to give that something to sit in. You really should use plastic or high-grade stainless steel when you're handling your SCOBYs. Plastic, glass, or high-grade stainless steel. This is a high-grade stainless steel strainer, so I'm not too concerned about it, but it's better not to use metal. All right, so where are we at? This is kind of what I thought was going to happen. We are almost to the top, and let me tell you, while I find my extra water, this thing already, if you stick your nose over it, boy, oh boy, is it potent. So, because of growing culture in there, we're going to get it up to the neck, right here. so that the culture will conform itself to this size, which is about 4 or 5 inches. Let me get a stirring thing. So I got a silicone spatula, and I'm just gonna kind of push this stuff down a little bit and get the spices wet, because they have a tendency to just float on the top if they're not fully saturated. And they will fully saturate eventually, but for right now, they're not. And then we have one more ingredient. I probably shouldn't have put the water in, but it doesn't matter. We have one more ingredient. The last ingredient, as you can see right here, fresh lemons. Now, again, these lemons are a little old as well. This shot probably looks pretty good. But the other two that I had were very much fresher than these. And so I'm going to keep the fresh lemons for a drink. Probably ginger, maybe elderberry, I'm not sure. All right, so off camera, I just siphoned off enough liquid so I could get my lemons in there. You probably can't see them now because I'm smushing them down, or maybe you can. So I'm just going to smush them down. And I'm going to take some of that liquid that I siphoned off camera and replace it so that everything comes up to the neck. Now, I'm going to tell you that I checked my apple cider vinegar this morning, and there is a little bit of mold on the top of it, and that's because I didn't use a weight. And I'm not going to use a weight on this either. Probably I'm just going to close it and let it do its thing. And in theory, the kombucha should consume any mold. That's the great thing about vinegar made out of fruit or tea or what have you, is it naturally consumes mold. But I'm going to keep an eye on this for a few days and make sure we don't have any mold. And I'm just gonna top it off there. All right. Now, this one I am not going to put a cloth on for a few days, and then after that, we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll put a cloth on it. There you go. There is Fire Cider. Just like all of our ferments, 4 to 6 weeks in the dark. So now let's talk about some of the properties of what we put in our Fire Cider. Onions and garlic are powerful antioxidants and have anti-inflammatory effects, and have been linked to the reduced risk of cancer, as well as lowering blood sugar and improved bone health. Vitamin C is an antioxidant. This vitamin is needed for immune function and maintenance of skin and hair. Folate, which is B9, is a water-soluble B vitamin. Folate is essential for cell growth and metabolism, and especially important for pregnant women. Vitamin B6. Found in most foods, this vitamin is involved in the formation of red blood cells. And potassium, this essential mineral, can have blood pressure lowering effects and is important for heart health. So we have, a nice array of nutrients just in garlic and onions alone. Lemons have still more vitamin C and vitamin B, and can be helpful in preventing heart disease and kidney stones, which is kind of important. Ginger. Ginger can treat many forms of nausea, especially morning sickness. Ginger may reduce muscle pain and soreness. It has anti-inflammatory properties, which again can help with osteoarthritis. It could drastically lower blood sugar levels and improve heart disease risk factors, as well as improve brain function and protect against Alzheimer's disease. So you can see this isn't even half of what we added, and yet we have a pretty potent brew. I encourage you to look up the nutrient properties of the other things that we've added. We did not add horseradish or hot peppers. I don't like either one of those things, so I increased other things. So
there's our fire cider in 4 to 6 weeks, so sometime around 4th of July for Americans. We'll strain it out and decant it and see how it tastes. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you are still well and are blessed. Take care. See you soon.